welcome to the Jackson Cloud. I'm Jamin.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Olivia.
And we are continuing our series throughout Genesis, and today it brings us to the continuation of the family.
We're back in the Mafia again?
I guess. I don't know why it keeps coming up in all our episodes lately.
Wait, well, it's probably because of Dom. That's probably why.
Family. I am Groot. All right, so Esau and Jacob, these twins, they're going to be born. They're about to be divided. Things aren't going to be very pleasant between the two. There's a whole,
What, you mean brothers fight?
Brothers fight, but even more so when all of the future promises of God are upon the family. It's like they're twins, too. You know, born at the same time. Which one's gonna carry the promise? Though there's still one of them is younger, but by what? A few seconds,
It was probably at least a minute back in those days.
Well,
I mean, they were conceived at the same time, so realistically, they're the same age.
Whoa. Now I have to put a PG-13 rating on this. Thanks a lot, Olivia. Okay, so with this PG-13 episode, twins are born, and something interesting happens. The first came out red, all his body like a hairy cloak. So they called his name Esau, which does that mean red? Trying to.
Well, I'm guessing he had red hair by the sounds of it.
I mean, it certainly sounds like it, but his body was a hairy cloak. He was very red, which I think Esau probably means hairy or rough. So he's born hairy and rough.
What a name!
Yeah, back then the symbolism was pretty clear. Nobody ran into Esau was I don't understand why your parents named you that. It's probably pretty clear to them. Afterward, his brother came out with his hand holding Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. And Jacob means he takes by the heel or he cheats. So another name that's not super pleasant.
So wait, he was holding on to the heel while...
He was holding on to the heel. So it's no, I'm going to be born first. It was get back in here. Sorry.
I think that's what just made it PG-13.
so he's born behind him, but not far behind, and he gets this name of he cheats, something like that. It's not exactly a pleasant name, but it is painting the picture that is about to come for Jacob, because Jacob is going to cheat his brother out of his birthright, as though his very birth is symbolic of what's coming.
So wait.
Oh no, you don't! I'm the first one, right?
So here's a quick question: do you think that definition for that name came before this, or was it?
So is it prophetic or is it
reactive?
Symbolic?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's always a good question with a lot of the names in the Bible. Abraham, father of many. Was his name really Abram before, and then you just added Ham on for the prophetic definition? I don't know. But
this makes me wonder why anyone names their children Jacob if it means
heel snatcher. Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why my parents didn't name me Chad, was because of the definition.
Because the warrior definition.
Well, warlike, yeah.
Yeah. Well, whatever the case may be, in our last episode, it said that they were going to be divided against each other. And from the get-go, we've got that. Now, I want to rewind here and then super fast forward here, because I think the Bible Project has painted a good extra dimension as to some of the things that are going on here. So, in the beginning, humans and animals are made in a similar way or on the same day. And then because of that, you're almost thinking of humanity as a sort of animal of sorts, but they're beyond just animal because the image of God is on them. They have the capacity to image who God is, mirror who God is, to the rest of creation, including all the other animals. And so humanity is, in a sense, like a creature, but they're so much more than that at the same time. What tempts them to sin?
Knowledge.
Yeah, but like specifically what?
The snake.
Yes, which is a what?
Animal.
It's an animal. It's not in the image of God. It's lesser. It's a beast. And here comes this beast, and we also know it's Satan, but I think the Bible's playing in like several different dimensions. Snakes could be seen as angelic-like beings because seraphim were thought to be snake-like, but also snakes were beasts, and there's this clear like animalistic side to this creature because God curses it, like you're not going to have legs anymore, you'll slither on the ground for the rest of your life. So there's also like this mythology going on about like why snakes don't have legs, and it's a symbol of Satan. He's been chopped down to the ground. Even less than that, he's now like on the ground in Sheol, if you will, right?
He's a lower beast.
Yeah, so there's like all these different dimensions going on here. When you say lower beast, I can already hear some things going on in your brain there. Are you going there?
I'm going to let you get there.
You're not going there.
Right.
Narnia?
I was not going there. No.
Oh, okay, all right. So in Narnia, Olivia, in The Magician's Nephew, there's different kinds of beasts. There's talking beasts. When you get to Narnia, there's a bunch of beasts that talk. But if you behave like a dumb beast, you will then become a dumb beast again. You will not be able to talk anymore. You will just become something lesser.
What we normally see as animals today.
Yes. So Narnia has this like
hierarchy of beasts,
almost in the same way that we're talking about like Genesis. There's creatures, and then there's the creature. But we can behave like the creatures and become like the creatures. We can behave like animals and become animals. In fact, today you hear people talk about like humans as like I don't know what that was, but I think we're still recording.
That was from my phone. The phone call was
that was my phone, I think.
Oh, was it yours?
Yeah,
It was that one.
Well, then that makes me feel better.
We'll just keep going. So there's these animalistic urges that people talk about today. What would that include? When we say like, oh, it's so animalistic. Go ahead, make it PG-13 again. I can see it in your eyes.
I won't go there.
Okay, so sex.
And lust, yeah.
Lust. What else? Food, gluttony.
Yeah.
Sometimes pride.
Pride. Yeah, I mean, there's like the desire for too much, to kill something just for the sake of killing it. These are like all animalistic type urges. And it's interesting that here we have in the beginning of the Bible, one of the animals tempting the creature, the image of God, to become something lesser, to leave the talking beast realm and become a dumb beast again, as Narnia would kind of put it. And rather than follow God, we follow a snake. So we become like a beast. So now we're thinking of Satan as like lesser than. We're thinking of sin as lesser than. And sin later is going to be pictured as a creature. Cain and Abel, God tells Cain, you need to do well, otherwise sin is crouching at your door, almost like it's a creature, a lion waiting to devour you, right? I think that's even the way that it gets taken in the New Testament is Satan prowls like a roaring lion, seeking whom he will devour. No.
I was going to let you do that.
Olivia doesn't know this song. You don't know this song.
I know this song.
We are being as niche here as we can possibly be. Lost and Found. It was a band of two guys. Anyways, two funny
guys.
That's
what one of them sounded like, was the way that he was singing.
That's how they sing. It's true. But yeah, Satan, snake, sin, tempting, become like a beast. Lion, sin, crouching, tempting, become like a beast. We now know that one day, despite humanity struggling with sin and beast-likeness, we know from a promise from God in Genesis that one day Eve will eventually give rise to a descendant who will fix the world and break all this curse and all this sin. Because in Genesis, after this all happens, God says, like, you'll give rise to one day you'll give rise to a child who the snake will bite his heel, but you will crush his head.
The head.
Yeah. So one day, like, this sinness, this beastness will be crushed. And we're waiting for that person. Like, that was right at the beginning of the Bible. So even throughout Genesis, we're still waiting, like, who's that going to be? And then we come across like Seth. This guy wants to follow God. Okay, maybe. Come across Enoch. That guy just goes straight to heaven. We come across Noah. We're like, maybe this is the guy. God says that he's good enough to save. We get Abraham. We're like, maybe this is the guy who will give rise. Nope, he messes up. And then we get to Isaac, and Isaac's chapter story is just kind of fast forwarded through. And now we're to Jacob and Esau. And we're like, okay, there's twins. Which one's it going to be? Who's the human that's going to save us all? They don't know there's another 65 books of the Bible coming, right? Which one of these is going to be the one that conquers sin and changes the world? The first one is born, and what does he look like?
A hairy beast.
He looks like a beast. Like, I think the Bible Project's right when they're like, this is intentional. Like, the first one comes out, is like, well, that's upsetting. Like, that's not because it's wrong to be furry. That's not my point. Just like, clearly, I think the overtones the Bible's giving is like, that's not the one. So you're like, okay, second-born, what do we got? And what's going on with the second-born? He's holding a heel. Where have we heard that word before?
It's almost like he's biting the heel.
Yeah. The last time, I think, in all of the scripture that we heard about a heel was Satan will bite your heel. We're like, okay, so it's got to be the other one. Oh, no, that's not good. And he's a cheater. He's a trickster. He's holding the heel. He's being Satan-like. We got a beast or we got Satan.
Now, I do have a question. So in, like, the same way that, Jacob is holding the heel, is that supposed to be any type of symbolism for Achilles? From, like, Greek mythology of, like, his weak spot was his heel?
No, I would think that would be way too much later for them to have thrown that trajectory in.
Okay.
Though we are going to see, when Jacob wrestles with God, is it his heel that he grabs? Actually, let's figure that out right now, because I'm just curious. Wrestle. Searching. Jacob wrestles with God. No. It's been a while since I read it, but that was his hip socket.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that would be an interesting way to, like, here's your heel now. No,
right.
It was something else.
That makes me feel better. But it was just, after talking about the heel for a couple, I was just like, does it have any symbolism with Achilles' heel, since, it's still named after him at this point from Greek mythology?
No, but it is symbolic of the snake.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have the beast or you can have the snake. It's like, these are the two that will bear the promises. And Jacob often, we think of Jacob as like, he must have been an excellent person, because like our worship songs, oh God of Jacob, like we throw his name in there, or it's the descendants of Jacob. Like we get that throughout the Bible as like a catchphrase of who Israel is. It's Jacob. But Jacob does show himself to be a cheat and a trickster, like all the way through much of his story. And we're going to get into that as we move along. He's kind of like Abraham in the sense that, like, is he going to be the one? No, he's making some significant mistakes along the way. Jacob's gonna
at least he probably doesn't lie about his sister, though, right? Or his wife being his sister?
No, not so much.
Okay, well that's good. At least that part's broken.
Yeah.
Because that, went 2 generations.
He has his own marital problems.
I mean, that's true.
As we will soon see. But with this story, eventually, if we were to fast forward, we keep seeing glimpses of the human who might be the one. Daniel's story kind of starts like maybe he's the one, because it starts with him being a vegetarian, which is like super Eden-like. After Noah, God was like, okay, you no longer have to just eat vegetables, you can eat meat as well. So God made a, what's the word?
Concession?
Is that the word? That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
God made a divine concession on behalf of humanity. You're really just supposed to eat plants, but I'm going to allow you now to eat meat as well. Daniel goes beyond that to be like this. Is he going to be the perfect human? He doesn't even eat meat, And we're like, this might be the one. Daniel does a great job, but he's not the one. But Daniel has a vision of the one. One like a son of man who rides the clouds like a god and then sits on the throne of God. Like, that sounds almost blasphemous. What kind of human can sit on God's throne and can ride the clouds like a god? What are you talking about, Daniel? Your vision sounds like you just started practicing some other religion. It's not, though. Jesus comes along, and what's his favorite nickname for himself? What's the demon's favorite nickname for Jesus? Quiz time.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Jesus has nicknames?
Well, so the demons always call Jesus the Son of God.
Okay, yeah.
Jesus always calls himself the Son of...
It's not Son of Man?
Son of Man, yeah. Son of Man, look to the sky. This is our musical episode today.
Apparently.
Jesus always calls himself Son of Man. Why? Humanity has been waiting all the way since Genesis for one like the Son of Man, for a human being, for a descendant of Eve, to rise up and fix the problem of sin. And we've waited a lot of times. We've seen a lot of glimpses where we thought maybe this will be the human, but it hasn't happened. No one's beat sin. No one has beat beasts. No one has beat the temptation to become beast-like. But Jesus faces all that too. He ends up in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? Where he then is faced with the temptation from Satan. You could try getting power of the world in some other way. You don't have to follow the cross. You could worship me instead. That was Satan's temptation. But Jesus is like, no. God, if there is another way, let's do that. But not my will, but your will be done. If the cross is your will, let's go that way. So Jesus faces a snake. Jesus faces a temptation. Jesus has his own garden experience. Jesus, even when he's tempted out in the wilderness, it says that the angels came and ministered to him while he was among wild beasts, which is a strange thing to mention there, but it's almost as though like Jesus finds himself amongst the wild beasts. Is he going to be like one of them? No, he beats the temptation. He survives 40 days of fasting, and he continues to be higher than the beast, to be the image of God, to keep moving forward, to be the true Son of Man. Jesus himself even, I always thought it was kind of insulting when he looks at his mom sometimes. He's like, woman? Like, when we use that phrase, it's not usually in a nice way today. But I think the reason Jesus occasionally calls his mom woman in the Gospel of John is because John's intentionally trying to say, remember how woman will one day give rise to a human being who will fix sin? Like, John's trying to tie all that together. Jesus is the Son of Man. Jesus' mom is a woman. And Jesus is now going to show us how it's possible that a Son of Man can ride the clouds and sit on God's throne. How? Because it's God who put on humanity, came and lived among us, beat sin, beat the serpent, beat the snake, was the human that we've been waiting for, and then went back to heaven to be exalted at the highest place. Like, that's the story that we're told in the Bible. So that being said, I pause on Jacob and Esau to remember the most like tragic moment of beastliness that we've probably had in the much of the story. You know, it's like twins. Which one's it gonna be? Oh crap! And that's a funny moment, a tragically funny moment. Anyways, other thoughts or anything?
I guess I have one, but it's not a good point. Like, it's how strong do you think he was as a baby to be pulled out like while grabbing an ankle? I'm wondering what the finger strength is of a baby to be able to do that.
See, and I'm thinking that the point of today is that you can never trust a twin.
And I'm thinking I need to redo this episode because my point was clearly not made. So with that being said, what did you think the point of this episode was? Leave a comment below and tell us. Also,
be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
And join us on the Discord.
Which the link is below. In the meantime, we'll catch you guys next time.